Well, hello everybody. Mike with Spray Jones, and I had to take a little break from our rigged series to address something. This needs to be said because I keep seeing this come up and up in comments, and so I thought I'd just take a break and address it. And there seems to be a lot of constant misinformation that's out there. The spray foam is a building material. It is a building code certified building material. It has a pedigree to it. The suppliers have ISO standards. There's standards for the installers, and as such, the building code recognizes medium density and low density spray foam insulation in the code. That being said, it can be sprayed to building materials. So it can be sprayed to wood and plastic and metal and concrete and cement board and fiber board and on and on and on. The one thing it cannot be sprayed to is loose insulation. So why am I addressing this? Because people have continued to question and say, oh, well, I've heard that spray foam can't be sprayed to the plastic water pipes. You know, it'll cause them to melt or crack or split. Well, there might have been some instances where somebody did something dumb and got it to do it, but no, spray foam is certified to be sprayed to ABS pipe and PVC and polyvinyl chloride. It would be a pretty useless building material if we couldn't spray to the very water piping that goes into buildings. So absolutely, the spray foam is certified to go to these materials. Over electrical, absolutely. I've got a whole entire video that I'll put on the screen here of spray foam being sprayed to electrical wiring. It doesn't need to be Armor X. It doesn't need to be conduit. Sometimes those materials need to be used based on the wiring and the gauge and the distance of run, but I've got a whole video where the heat, the draw, the amp rating, and the spray foam insulation is studied, and it can be sprayed over electrical wiring, and with the right chemistry and the right amount of lifts, no damage is going to be done to the wiring. And then the big three that I keep hearing come up and up lately is one, loss of R value. Now, you need to understand that there's blowing agent in the foam when we're talking about closed cell foam. And yes, the spray foam is rated to what we call an LTTR, a long-term thermal resistant value. And they have a 30-year aged resistance value. So no, the insulation doesn't degrade over time and go to zero. The published data that we are to be using is the LTTR. So if you are specifying foam, if you are talking to your client, your customer, you are the customer, just get the spray foam installer to tell you what their aged values are. Those are the numbers they're supposed to be marketing with. You can sit there and say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for the first 2 weeks, the first 2 days. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference what it is the day I install it. I want to know what it's going to be 20 years from now. And that's the published data that we have. We're supposed to be. So LTTR in Canada is mandatory. We're not allowed to market or sell on something that's not LTTR, and why would you? Second big thing is just people keep hammering down on Shingle Life, and there's just a real misconception on what's causing the damage to shingles and how heat gets behind them, and the fact that the spray foam doesn't peak the shingle temperature. I've got a whole entire video on Shingle Life where we get into the study of Shingle Life, direction of face, color, temperature behind. There's an entire document that I've got on that, so I'll put the link to the video on the screen. Please go back and watch that. I don't need to rehash it here, but I mean, I have got the junkiest BP 2-tab shingles on my house. My builder put the biggest piece of junk on because by the time it came time to do the roof, the quotes had all gone up and they needed to save as much money as they could. I'm telling you, I am at the 12-year mark on my house with closed cell spray foam. My neighbor across the street is at the 11-year mark with black shingles. We get pretty warm in the summer. We get really cold in the wintertime. So we're going through the full 4-season cycles. 12 years in, there's absolutely no damage to the shingles. They're not curling, they're not lifting, they're not buckling. You can't just see where every single seam is, and they've heaved at the trusses. So these weird problems that people talk about in these chat rooms and say that this is going to be emblematic of the entire system is false. And then the newest one that's coming up now is Stucco Life and stucco with spray foam in the walls. People, let's just use some common sense here. Your stucco is an exterior reservoir clad building envelope. It is to be protecting the outside of the building and the outside sheeting. And like Matt Reisinger says, you want the building to be watertight to the exterior. So putting spray foam, closed cell, even open cell foam to the inside does not affect stucco. All right. You can go and use any acrylic or masonry, straight old-fashioned stucco that you want, but your building envelope to the exterior, your house wrap, your building wrap, your flashing details, your window details, the type of wraps that you're using, how it's going to get drainage, how it's going to get airflow, how it's going to be done is entirely a different envelope that your siding and exterior people are responsible for. Your interior envelope with your spray foam contractor is not to be affecting what goes on water-wise. So don't sit there and say you could have a perfect A1 spray foam job on the inside and that you do everything right on the inside and then that's going to cause the stucco to fail on the outside. Nothing could be further from the truth. Again, there's lots of buildings out there with spray foam that have passed and are doing fine. But if you have a failed envelope and water is getting back in behind your reservoir clad system, even your siding system, getting back in behind the wrap, wetting the sheeting, staying wet, it's going to degrade. So it isn't because you chose spray foam. It's because, in fact, spray foam will prevent the water from coming in. But those are two different envelopes. So I just want to address these things that are out there because people keep tripping over the same little bump in the road. I've got specific videos on all of these things. You can watch them in the YouTube sections on the library. So hope this helps somebody on a quick, fast video if they're looking for answers. Check this out. We're going to have some more content in the future that's really going to answer a lot of questions for the industry. I don't want to lend any hints yet as to what that's going to look like. Just stay tuned, stay close, and you're going to see some really good things coming up that you're going to be happy with. So stay tuned. Talk to you then.